And we're live. What's up, SDB? It's week 8 of season 6. This week we are playing Bomby, and in order to beat Bomby, who has drafted the team that I've been using all season, I have to think like Bomby. So I got myself a nice Boston beer. I've been telling myself don't get waxed all day, and I've been DMing Chad asking him to do my backsplash. So this is another week where I have already built the team um, because I've iterated a little bit from the team that I first kind of conceptualized. And so I'm going to be going over more what I made, why I made it, how I think it's going to do, and how it matches up. So here's the team. Um, it's a quite aggressive team. So I've got set up Tyranitar, set up Politoed, just a special attacking Charizard, Scarf Simeon, a exploding Gigalith, which is going to be my lead, and a Rocky Helmet Hippowdon to just sort of be a Gloomon and keep me from getting swept by a couple different sets the Bomby can bring. Here's what the matchup looks like. So going into this week, we're 4-2 and +9. If we check the standings, things are actually pretty close in the division. So top 3 here, we're all virtually tied. Redshirt only has one match left. He's at 4-3. So if he gets another win at 5-3, then he'll be in a good spot. Then we have a bunch of people at 3-3, and DVD pool at 2-4. So everyone potentially, oops, I should not have editing permissions on this because I always mess something up. Everyone here has the potential to wind up at 5-3 record. I could go as low as 4-4 and as high as 6-2, and I think a win of 5-3 against Bomby likely puts me over the threshold of playoffs because of the differentials down in the lower division and with Redshirt. But it's just going to depend on how this week's matches go and how my match versus Bomby goes. He's in a similar spot. If he wins, I think he's basically guaranteed. The math might depend a little bit more on what other matches happen this week, but whoever wins between the two of us is probably going to the playoffs. And the other one still has a shot because if I lose, I'm at 4-3 and +6 or something like that. It's still a pretty good record going into last week, but that turns that last week win into either a must-win game if I'm really low differential, or it would be good to win or lose as little as possible, depending on just how everything else plays out. So here is Bomby's team. He's got Terrapagos, Fini, Iron Moth, Jirachi, Mega Heracross, Crocodile, Shaman, Noivern, Mismagius, and a Rotom fan that goes Electric, Ghost, or Fairy. I don't know that he's really brought Mismagius very much this season, but it's going to match up pretty well into a couple of my guys. But I'm going to go kind of over kind of some of the likely sets that I think these things could run and whether I think they're good into my team or not. So Terrapagos, it's got basic Calm Mind, Rock Polish sorts of sets. It's got Iron Defense, Body Press, and it's got kind of utility, Rapid Spin, Stealth Rock sort of set. I think looking at my team, Mega Tyranitar is pretty good into any special set because even Earth Power into Mega T-Tar is probably only doing like about 30% in sand just because it has such an insanely high SPDF. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and upload this too. So let me look over what some of the calcs are going to look like into Terrapagos versus Mega T-Tar. Terrapagos, also, let me just say, it's one of the most annoying Pokemon to calculate things with in the calculator because, first of all, look, you have all these VGC sets, and then you click on choice specs, you have to choose the right form, which I think is Terrestrial. I don't even know. If you're trying to calculate HP, you need to put it at 330. It's just a nightmare. But this is a choice spec set, max special attack. It's still, probably not two-shotting Tyranitar, and this is a Tyranitar no bulk. So I think that Tyranitar, as an option that I'm pretty likely to bring, is going to discourage some of these special attackers like Combine Terrapagos, especially when Iron Defense Body Press, or even just the utility set with Body Press, um, winds up doing a lot better TR. With no investment, with a minus attack nature, this is already two-shotting guaranteed. So I think Bomby's going to see that, and he's going to see that he could probably Iron Defense up with Terrapagos and do a lot better against my likely wall. So here are all the options. For the team that I've built, looking at a lot of Bomby's roster, Terrapagos, Tapu Fini, really everything on his team there's not a lot of active recovery. Jirachi's got Wish. Um, Terapagos doesn't have anything. Could run Rest, but that's not really an option. Shaman's got Synthesis. Noivern probably gets Roost, but I doubt that he's running a Roost Noivern. Rotovan gets nothing. Mismagius nothing. Karuk, Heracross, Moth, Terapagos, they get nothing. So when I was building my team, looking at a lot of his guys, I thought if I can get a lot of Sand Chip going, if I can get Stealth Rock up and win the Hazard War, then I could wear down his Pokemon like Terapagos and Finny, which have won a lot of weeks just by becoming unbreakable and either sweeping outright in the case of Terapagos or being able to heal up all their damage with Drain and Kiss. So in building this team, I wanted a lot of passive damage. I wanted a lot of sweepers who could just put on quick pressure after I get up entry hazards. Genie sets, he could run Specs, he could run a dual boosting like Iron Defense and Calm Mind set. He could run the straight Calm Mind. He's also tried running a Whirlpool Trapping set. Iron Moth, it's probably booster or choice or boots. Those are really the options for it. Could run U-turn for sub. He's also tried acid spray, 3 attacks, something like that. Jirachi, kind of like Terapagos, can run anything it wants. He's run Assault Vest, Weakness Policy, Scarf, Physical, like U-turn Iron Head sort of thing. Utility, Calm Mind. Mega Heracross, Bomby is, Bomby and I have been talking about a lot of the teams that he's built this season, just while he's been making them. And he keeps wanting to build these physically defensive Heracross sets. So that's something he's been leaning towards. I think looking into my team, I have a lot of special attackers. I have a lot of special attackers who put pressure on Heracross. So I would really rather he just not bring it in the first place. I mean, it's pretty good for a lot of my team. Looking at my roster here, like Pelipper dies to Rock Blast, Ninetales, same deal. Titar dies to physical coverage. If I'm on Bullet Seed, Politoed Bullet Seed. My whole team, he has moves that will kill if he brings Heracross. But I'm hoping he sees, Flying Mon, Fairy Mon, Fire, Flying Mon, and sees that they're, a lot of the teams that I've been running, Hurricane Charizard, and I've been running a lot of Ninetales Alola and a lot of Pelipper. I hope he sees that and benches Heracross, but I think the most dangerous Heracross set is just a basic Trailblaze set that tries to kill something, get a Moxie boost, and then just sweep because Heracross is really good. And the reason I'm putting all these down is because I'm going to go through my team and talk about how I think that I check each of these, um, or whether there are holes in my team. So Crocodile can run Choice Band or Scar, so I'll just say run a Choice set, or it can run some sort of like Rock set or an AV set. Shaman, I mean, it's Specs or like Leech Seed sort of thing. I don't think Shaman's especially good. Shaman is recovery is really nerfed in the sand, and I now have 3 sand setters, so it's likely that I bring at least one of them. Joke's on him, I'm bringing all 3, but I think that really discourages Shaman. And even though it hits Mega Titar super effectively with Seed Flare, like because of the sand boost, yeah, I guess that does still do a lot. But this is a max special attack Shaman, and it's doing 55 to 64 on a move that can miss. And it's taking passive chip. I don't think Shaman's super good here, but he could be running a Shaman set. Noivern, Boots or Scarf, I think is likely. He's run a DD. Noivern, I think it even won him a match, maybe against Riker, but I don't think DD Noivern is especially good into my team because I do have a Powdon. I do have Pelipper, who's decent physically, defensively, and Noivern's pretty fail. Mismagius, Nasty Plot, or Choice. And then Rotom, he's been running a bunch of Rocky Helmet. That could also be some sort of choice set or boot set to be his defogger. He doesn't have a lot of um, uh, entry hazard removal options. He's got Rotom Fan and Noivern who can defog, and he's got Terapagos who can spin. So based on that, and that I have so many Stealth Rock setters now, and that he's pretty weak to passive damage, I'm really hoping that he just brings a utility Terapagos set with Rapid Spin and Stealth Rock. It'll make it a little bit harder to maybe specifically check, but he could do something like Rapid Spin, Stealth Rock, Starstorm or whatever it's called, and then Body Press. And that kind of set looks really good into my team, but it's also not that threatening of sweeping me. So that's kind of the set that I'm hoping he runs on Terrapicos because he is a little weak to entry hazards. He's been relying on Rotom a lot with its Terra types. Terra Electric Rotom fan is a little bit annoying because it makes it have no weaknesses. But I'm hoping that through the combination of Stealth Rock and Sand, I can chip his team down. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have all of these thoughts of the kind of things that I expect him to bring, let me go over my team and talk about why it's constructed the way it is. So Gigalith here is a almost certainly dedicated lead. The reason being, Gigalith with Stealth Rock and Explosion has a good chance of getting rocks down and then blowing up. It's got Toxic to put pressure on a Rotom fan that wants to stay in and Will-O-Wisp, or a Terrapagos that wants to stay in and spin. Explosion, there's the combination of Explosion and Earthquake are actually hard-walled by two potential sets. A Ghost-type Rotom fan and Mismagius. This Gigalith does not really touch Mismagius. It can Toxic it. Mismagius does sometimes run sub, so that's not great. But I think Mismagius is a mon that's really disincentivized to come because of Tyranitar. Similarly, I think that Ghost Rotom Fan is disincentivized because of Tyranitar. It would make Rotom Fan go from being weak to Stone Edge to being weak to Knockoff, which is a lot worse. I think that Fairy is a really good defensive type. I think Electric is also a good defensive type for Rotom and make a lot of sense in my team. So, Bomby's been leading Rotom Fan a lot, and I think that if he does, he's likely to either Terra Fairy or Terra Electric. Gigalith's whole plan here is to get up rocks against the Rotom. If the Rotom wants to Will-O-Wisp me, I will Toxicate back. If it wants to stay in a defog, I'll just keep putting down rocks while Toxicate's away at it, and eventually blow up, because Gigalith here is not meant to stay in. It's meant to get down the sand and start chipping all of the guys that might come in, especially Terrapagos. If he leads Terrapagos and it's a rapid spin set, even if it's a boosting set, I want the sand to be going so that the Terra Shell is immediately broken. And then I want to blow up on it once the Terra Shell is broken, because this Gigalith's explosion is actually quite strong. Gigalith is 135 base attack. This is 252 adamant. Because that berry is just, I looked into different options. I might change this to Pasho Berry for Tapu Fini, but I'm hoping that I can just kind of smartly play around its hit points to get a surprise explosion off on something. Because I think Bombi will see that it's Sandstream and not Custap, and not Sturdy, and maybe discount that it could be Custap Berry, and then I'll just try to position to get in. But 330 explosion, it's after two turns of Sandship. This is a dead Terrapagos. This is a sweeping one. It could be 252 HP bold. I don't know, but it's still doing 52 to 62%. So if I get down rocks, get off Toxic, and then blow up with this thing, that's great. Because the next things that I have to put on offensive pressure really want to come in on something that's threatened out and catch it on the switch. So T-Tar, it's got Rock Polish, Knockoff Stone Edge, Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is for the Heracross. There's nothing else that I really want to click it into, but it kills Heracross. Unless he's some, really physically defensive Heracross, T-Tar Aerial Ace from 252 HP, or 252 attack adamant, is going to kill it. Knockoff and Stone Edge are just good all-around coverage. Knockoff will kill Mismagius and most Jirachis. Stone Edge will do a lot of damage to Terrapagos. It'll kill Iron Moth. This T-Tar can't really touch Crocodile, but I don't think Crocodile is a super likely to bring, and I've got a Hippowdon for that anyway. But I want him to be switching a lot and taking Rock Strip, because Gigalith's whole thing here is it's going to get down rocks and blow up, and hopefully deny any kind of spin or hazard removal. T-Tar is pretty good defensively, even with this sweeper set. Iron Moth can't do a lot to T-Tar. It gets Dazzling Gleam, but it doesn't do a lot of damage. Wonder if that's Bomby. Looking at my team, seeing the guys I'm checking out. They'll leave him a message. I'll just leave this on Noivern so he thinks I'm afraid of it. Stone Edge, Knockoff, just good moves all around. T-Tar, with its special defense boost, helps cover Moth. Moth can U-turn, which, Brett and I played a Tyranitar in a different league, and we brought U-turn specifically so that it could U-turn on Tyranitar and have an option of keeping up the offensive momentum. Because Iron Moth, it doesn't put a lot of pressure on T-Tar. I checked its moveset, doesn't get any fighting moves, and Dazzling Gleam doesn't do a whole lot. The EVs here are to, I think, get to calcs. I think get to 526. Gen 90 Bomby. Yeah, so 264 times 2 gets to 528. Can I go lower? No. Okay. That's the outspeed booster speed moth, just so that if I get a rock polish off, I can always take it out, even if I'm a little bit chipped. Speed tiers here are interesting too. So moth is 525 speed if it +1, 350 at neutral. Jirachi is 328 speed at max speed, and it's 492 at scarf speed. Terrapagos could be a bunch of different things, but it's slower than Iron Moth. Yeah, so 269 times 2. So Tyranitar can't quite get to that. But if Terrapagos gets off a rock polish, I'm going to try to phase it rather than kill it that way. But let's talk more about Tyranitar here. So Noivern is pretty fast. I think it's 379. So if it's scarfed, it gets up to 568, which Tyranitar can't quite ever match. But also, I'm not too afraid of Noivern. I could potentially rock polish twice. And Mismagius is a little bit slower than Iron Moth at 105 base speed. So anything that outspeeds plus my Iron Moth is going to outspeed Mismagius. So that's the Futar set. It's a little bit so Krook shuts it down, especially if it's that Krook with Intimidate. It can't do a ton to Tapu Fini, but Tapu Fini also, because of the Sand boost, is not going to be able to do a ton back. And if it's Draining Kissing, that's pretty low base power. It's going to be taking Stone Edges. It's going to be taking Sandchip and Rocks. So although Tapu Fini isn't a great matchup for T-Tar, T-Tar's not a great matchup for Fini either. If Fini hasn't got any boosts going. The other sweeper that I have here is this Politoed set. So I was just kind of messing around calcs. When I was given Politoed, I knew it got Belladrum, so I figured I would try out some of the calcs each week, and I've looked into a few of them, but this is pretty good. So, water normal is insanely good coverage for hitting things neutrally. I think in Gen 4, the only thing that resists both of them is like Empoleon or something. Because I mean water is resisted by neutral or return is just really good against most things. It's Ghost is immune to it, and it's resisted by rock and steel, and water hits rock super effectively and it hits Ghost and steel neutrally. So in order to resist both return and waterfall, you have to be either a ghost or steel type and have a secondary type that resists water. There's not that many of them about. There's none on Bomby's team. This return waterfall hits everything. Drizzle, because I need the rain boost for some calcs. I would like to run Water Absorb for Tapu Fini, especially if it's like a specs set, but I'm going to need the rain boost damage. Also, there's some plays with Hurricane that it opens up. So I just want to have more lines available. And although Water Absorb is really nice, with likely only one Pokemon that has water coverage and Water Absorb not even necessarily shutting it down, I just figured I'd go with Drizzle, give myself the boost, give Politoed the best chance to sweep. I think that there is no chance that Bomby's going to prepare for this. I think that, he looks at Politoed and he sees that it's the worst of my two rain setters. And I don't even have Swampert anymore. What's this 9-point Mon doing here? Well, I'm hoping that it can put in some work for this set. So the speed tiers here are to outspeed everything that is not Scarf. Noivern is 379. Yeah, 379 at max speed. That's his fastest non-Scarf Mon. Iron Moth can be faster if it gets booster speed. Bomby's run a lot of booster special. He's run a lot of boots, so I'm hoping that he doesn't bring booster speed Moth because it is threatened out by Tyranitar, and then you lose the boost. I think that he might bring Scarf Jirachi, but if he brings Scarf Jirachi, I can take a few Ironhead flinches. Depending on how the sub belly drum plan goes, I can take at least one. And I have this Rocky Helmet Hippowdon to kind of deal with this set anyway. But that is to say, Solitary Politoed, it's really fast. It outspeeds everything that's not Scarfed. His likely Scarfed guys, Noivern, maybe, but Noivern's not that good of a Pokemon. Jirachi, maybe, but if it's physical, I've got a Hippowdon specifically for that guy. And then Moth, I think that it's not likely to bring it with booster speed. So let's run through these calcs. Let me put this over here so that we can look at his team. Terrapagos, I'm hoping that with the Gigalith plan, I get rocks down. It is smoked by +6 waterfall. Even if the rain stops, it dies to +6 waterfall. 252, 252 bold, it dies after rocks to +6 waterfall. This is Belly Drum is an insane move. It, makes 249 attack, which is pretty small, go to nearly 1,000. Epifini, rocks contingent, it's a kill. Could be bold. This says some HP. I don't know what this scarf, whatever set is, but if he's not Fizdef, then it dies, and this doesn't do too much damage to me. If playing around Salic is a little tricky because I may be getting my health all the way down to 25%, in which case I die to almost anything. But an important aspect of Bomby's team is that he does not have any priority. Like I think he actually has none. Um, I don't know if Miss Magius gets Sucker Punch or something. It might, but I don't think he's going to bring it. So if Polytooth gets going, then it's going to get to. If it gets going and there's nothing he has that is Scarfed or Booster Speed to stop it, then it's going to get to tickets on all these Pokemon. Iron Moth, Waterfall. I think this kills it even before any of this. So Iron Moth. It's kind of a secondary check to Moth too because if it's undamaged, then I can just bring it in and take it out that way. Heracross, yeah, even outside of rain. Mega Heracross gets smoked by Waterfall. Krook, Krook can intimidate Juggle it, but then I'm still getting kills on something. Shaman dies to return. Shaman's the main reason for having return here. Is this yeah, so he could have a Fizz Def Shaman. That would be pretty bad for me. But I think that Shaman's not a likely bring because Sand reduces its recovery so much. Noivern, dies to return. Miss Magus is super frail. It's a Waterfall. And then Rhythm Fan. He's run a lot of 252, 252 bold. Let's see how those calcs look. It does Waterfall in the rain. So this Politoed, I think it's going to be really hard to set up. I think that the optimal conditions for Politoed are to come in on something that is threatened out from getting killed by a Scald in the rain and get up a sub. That's something like coming in on Crocodile that just got chipped by something, or coming in on, I don't know, an Iron Moth and bluffing that I'm a Spadef Politoed and getting up a sub and then a Belly Drum. The sub will be good even if I take a hit from something because it might get off the Salak Berry. And then even if Politoed doesn't get the Belly Drum off, it can still hit things pretty hard with Waterfall in the rain. But the whole idea here is to, try to take something out, or like bluff that I'm going to take something out, get up a sub and a Belly Drum. And then the calcs speak for themselves. Politoed has the possibility of sweeping his team if I get it in the right conditions and scout out enough of the speed control. So those are my two main sweepers, Tyranitar and Politoed. They function well once Gigalith, has gotten down rocks, maybe gotten some toxics off and exploded on something, and maybe gotten some sand chip. I want to bring Charizard. Charizard is pretty good, just as an all-around Mon. I've got Terra Dragon for kind of the Feeny, Tapu Fini 50-50. So, Tapu Fini tries to hit me with a water move. I can Terra Dragon and roar it out if it's gotten like a Calm Mind or Iron Defense boost or something like that. Hurricane in the rain is good. I wanted something that could defog because I'm not bringing any hazard control. I don't have room for it really. I don't even have a spinner anymore. So if he gets my Stealth Rock's gone and he's starting to hazard stack, I don't know, Spikes Heracross, who knows? I want to have some option of getting rid of them, even if it's just, bringing Charizard, defog, suicide it, whatever. Speed ties Jirachi, so Flamethrower is pretty good. Good into Shaman, who'd also speed ties. Hurricane, Flamethrower, I think hits everything at least neutrally. Yeah, yes. Super effective, neutral, super effective, neutral. So Charizard has neutral coverage with its stab moves on everything. It's pretty good. Thought about running Bruce, but when I wanted this Charizard. It has to be pretty fast to speed tie Jirachi and potentially a fast Shaman, and to outspeed Tapu Fini. So, am I going to do 252 speed, 252 HP? Then I'm not really getting the damage thresholds that I want. And 252 Timid, I think, has a shot of killing Jirachi with Flamethrower. Oh, no, not even close. What was I looking at when I count that? Maybe a Heracross or something. Okay, so maybe after Lux, kills Heracross. But this is a pretty offensive team. I've got Suicide Beat. I've got two boosting sweepers. I just want Charizard who can get in, get off a couple attacks, maybe defog, and has some emergency phasing. and then die itself. I'm looking to trade with a lot of these guys just so that I can get one of my sweepers set up where it's one or two checks are eliminated. Passimian is just a Gloomon here, so 216 speed Jolly lets it outspeed Mega Heracross at +1 because I'm terrified of a Heracross where he has Trailblaze and then 3 moves that hit everything super effectively. I mean, he could have Pin Missile, or wouldn't even need people. He could have Rock Blast, Trailblaze, Close Combat, and then Bullet Seed. That sweeps this team if he gets to +1 and I don't outspeed him. Aerial Ace into an offensive Heracross does something like 80%. Yeah, so rock, some sand chip, maybe a rocky helmet hit. That at least checks Heracross. U-turn, close combat, gunk shot are pretty good coverage, so I want something that can pivot and maybe help position Tyranitar or Politoed to get off their sweep. I want him to be forced to make switches. Close combat is pretty good into Krook, Shaman. Oh, and it's Defiant, so Krook can't intimidate it without giving it a boost. And +1 close combat hits everything pretty hard. Close combat into Jirachi. If I do get a +1 boost, winds up doing quite a bit of damage. If it's taking rocks. It's another mon where I just kind of want it to get in, swing, weaken a couple things so that my 2 main sweepers can potentially do some damage. And then Gunk Shot's for Fini. It needs to move to hit Finny. I think that a Fizz Def Finny is likely to come in on it, and Gunk Shot will 2 KO it, so that's just a good move to have. Passimian has a lot of moves that it wants to have here. It wants to have Earthquake to one-shot the Iron Moth. It wants to have Knockoff for Jirachi and for Mismagius, who it doesn't really threaten. The knockoff is good just all around. And I've really gone back and forth about the moves on its set, but I think at the end of the day, having close combat to hit Terapagos is really good. It's almost as good into Jirachi as knockoff is. And it's really good into Krook and Shaman. I think that U-turn is just a must on the Scarf set because I don't have any pivoting besides Explosion. Aerial Ace, I mean, I need to check Mega Heracross, and then I think Gunk Shot's more important to hit Finny than Earthquake or Knockoff is to hit the other threats. And then the last guy on the team is just this Rocky Helmet Hippowdon. This is really specifically to counter two Pokemon. So it's here to counter Iron Defense Terapagos, which I talked a little bit about earlier about why I think that set is pretty good into me with the Tyranitar. It could Whirlwind it out. It takes Rocky Helmet Chip, Sand Chip, and Stealth Rock Chip. I can heal off, anything that does. I mean, this Hippowdon is super bulky. So, like, even just running let's call it, you know, still, let's do Platypus. See how we're doing. Even at a +2, it's doing 30% to Hippowdon. It's taking a ton of chip. I can whirlwind it out. I'm not that threatened by that set. I'm not doing a ton back to it, but it doesn't have any recovery. I also want this to cover the Scarf, Ironhead, Jirachi, Choice Scarf, Ironhead, 20%. I can sit there all day and take these hits, and I'll at least chip him down to where Passimian or Charizard can come in and finish up. I really don't want to lose to Choice Scarf, Ironhead, Jirachi. If he runs a weakness policy set and he gets up a Cosmic Power, I'm fine losing to that set. I don't want to lose to this set, or at least want to be prepared to not lose to this set. And those are 2 of the mons that the rest of my team really does not cover very well, so that's why I threw this account on here. It's also, I can play some games with, if he tries to U-turn with Iron Moth, I can come in and chip it. I think having more options to get the sand is going to be really important, just because this whole team's whole shebang here is that it's going to try to chip him down and have one sweeper just pop off and kill everything. And also, it's always good to have a ground type into a Rotom Fan, even though it's probably going to be Terra Fairy. Moveset, Slack Off, Stealth Rock. I want another Stealth Rock setter for all the reasons before. Breaks Terra Shell, puts pressure on Moth, and some of his other guys. Whirlwind over Roar, just for sound move shenanigans. Whirlwind's, I think, optimal. Charizard's got Roar because it doesn't get Whirlwind. And EQ just to hit the Jirachi if I can. It's a good move, hits the Iron Moth. I don't love 52 HP / defense because it means that a Choice Specs Tapu Fini or a Iron Moth that has Energy Ball could just take me out. But I think this is about the best that I could do for the Spout it's get Gloomon, and I want to throw a third sweeper onto here without having some way to check Scarfarachi. So that's the team. I think that I have a lot of, really surprising sets. I think that when I bring things that are unexpected, I tend to do well. Some of my best matches have been when I brought, random cosmic power or weakness policy sets or things that my opponent has not prepared for because I've done the calcs and I can usually, look at someone's team and think, okay, if Polito is going to go off, it needs a chance to sub and belly drum and for me to scarf to scout the scarf mons. I know that going into the match. Bomby does not know that because I don't think he's going to expect that I have belly drum select or Polito. Maybe he will. Maybe he's crazy. But I think that when I bring sets like this, they tend to do well, or at least they give me win conditions to play for, but that my opponent doesn't know really exist. So his team's really good still. All of these mods are really scary. Um, my team kind of sucks, but if we win this match, we're probably through the playoffs. So thanks for watching this video. This one's for you, Bomby. We'll see how it shakes out tomorrow.